Hello, Adam Bazalgette here, founder of Scratch Golf Academy. Today, can you fix a sway in your golf swing? Can you even define the sway, let's say? Well, sways could happen backswing or downswing. In this part one video, we're going to look at the backswing. It's not difficult stuff, it really isn't. It's just a pivot in a golf swing, but clear understandings and some ideas as to how to get feedback will help you. Hope you'll enjoy the video. Justin Rose there on both views. Let's look at his axis, his spine, or at least a reasonable estimation of it. You can see he pivots beautifully around that. Now, what a sway really is, or the most common sway I see, is the lower body shifting laterally in the backswing. We'll tackle the overall and upper body sway later in the video, but if we look at his trail hip, right hip for the right-handed golfer, it really goes behind him. And if we look at him from this angle, let's highlight his spine and let's really have a close-up look at that pocket as we go here. That pocket is actually moving around his spine towards the target, notwithstanding he's staying centered. So he's not only not shifting this way, his right hip's actually going that way. And as we'll see in a little while, there is still some weight transfer to this leg. Let's flesh it out. So simply stand there. If you're in front of this video, stand straight up and pivot, and you'll see your trail side goes behind you in the same way we saw the pro. Now, it's a little more tricky when you bend forward because now you're pivoting on an angle, so you're going to get the effective feeling that your right side stretches and gets longer, which it does. But with a nice centered axis, you'll still see how that trail side goes behind you and how you can keep a good firm feel in your pivot. Now, let me show you a quick drill that's going to help you with this when you're outside. Then we'll get into how you're able to shift weight on your backswing if you're not moving to the back foot. One of the best drills when practicing with or without a club, in this case without a club, get your shadow directly in front of you, not sort of in front of you, and just make pivots, and you'll start to see the movement in here. I'm staying in one location, but you can see a good free pivot. You can see the back hip go behind me and how centered my axis is. Okay, one more drill concerning hip sway in the backswing. We'll look at overall body sway next in this video, but I would put an alignment rod in the ground, angle it slightly towards your body, and as you rehearse there, you should feel that space stays about the same or even slightly increases as you go back. That's what you're looking for. Now, certainly there are some pros that get a little tiny bump to their back foot to start out before doing that pivot, and there's been a couple over the years, Montgomery and whatnot, that shifted this way, but that's basically what you're looking for, is keep the space, maybe slightly increase it. And there could be, for some players, I think Sergio Garcia's in this category, I've never asked him about it, certainly very tight ankles. That ankle will roll a little bit and cause a bit of that. We're talking generally. Now, here's the next question for you. If they're not moving to the back leg, are they getting weight on their back foot? Yes, they are. Let me try one shot here, which isn't going to define that for you, but here we go. Yes, they are. Force plate data shows clearly that the majority of elite players have significantly more weight on their back foot than they do on their front foot at the top of the backswing. How's that happening? Two real factors here. Number one, the weight of the club and arm swinging away from the target causes weight to build there as you go back. And secondly, even though I'm not shifting other than tiny bump at the beginning maybe to the back foot, I'm still with the arm swing this way applying pressure into the ground. You could think of a sprinter moving off the blocks. There's pressure in the feet even though their upper body isn't located over their feet, so pressure builds. Now, before we move to the overall body sway, quick look at a couple of pros. We'll look at this, and an interesting fact that most people probably haven't considered about at which point in the golf swing is most of the weight on that back foot. Justin Rose again on the left, Michelle Wee on the right. So in all cases of force plate data timed with video that I looked at, as these arms swing away, they have weight, as I say. The club has weight and momentum there as you go back. Weight would begin, we're talking about elite players as an average, weight would dial up to that back foot. But here's the interesting thing. At the point of arms horizontal, we'll say there, that's the point where there was the most weight on this side. And it did vary greatly on a short or a mid-iron. Could be 80-20, could be 60-40. In a couple of cases, close to 50-50, the end of the backswing. But once the hands got to here, if you'll notice, they actually start moving now towards the target. And as that happened, you started to see weight begin to move back towards the center. And certainly pre the absolute completion of the arc, the weight shift's already begun in earnest there. Now you would really see a movement back to that front foot. So Michelle Wee, weight, let's say, as much as it's going to get on the back foot is there. Now watch her body. You can see as the arms complete and the hips begin to make their move, that weight by the time we see what we might consider the top of the backswing, the weight's well on its way back to the front foot. So let's get back out there, look at the overall body sway. We'll look more at this downswing stuff in part 2 of this video, the downswing sway. So let's conclude here with discussing an overall body sway, and that's the situation where you see an entire movement of the trunk in total away from the target, usually away from the ground as well. Occasionally you'll see just the head move, but that's much less typical. So here's the 2 things I want you to think of if you're in that category. And again, filming yourself, looking at your shadow would be super helpful to diagnose that. So what I want you to do, get rid of the golf club for a minute. Allow yourself to do what you normally do, move up and away from the target, and simply do 2 things. Extend, tilt your upper spine back towards the target until it's staying in the same spot it was going back. And then something we'll look at from here to finish up with, bend your upper body towards the target so that you're keeping enough pressure down towards the ball with your trunk that you don't experience that sway, that loss of pressure as you go back, so to speak. You have to practice these things without a club a little bit. They are certainly not difficult in that environment. Then you start to pick up the club and see if you can blend a backswing with that until you look nice and stable. Let's have a quick look from here to finish. So when you have a bend in the axis, in this case the body, there is a predisposition to move away from the target a little bit. So if you're in the category where you see your body moving away from the ground and away from the ball, as you pivot, you need side bend. If you do it the proper amount and you do it gradually, the observer won't see it. Your head will just look nice and still. Your upper body will look over the target there. So practice these a little bit. Get here, add some side bend. It usually adds some pitch in your hips, deepens this angle, and you'll feel a sense of pressure that you probably haven't felt before. If you're in this category, don't be the 98% of golfers that just takes a bit of information, goes right to the range, starts wailing balls at full speed, riveted to the outcome. You just probably won't get it. Invest a few minutes at the house. And when you do get out there, do some back swings, overdo the side bend. That would be more than I'd want. And get the feeling for that. Hit some balls. Let's overdo it here a bit. Hit some balls nice and slowly. I probably didn't overdo it. I tend not to do it enough, but fiddle around with it. Film yourself. See if your axis is nice and stable, your hips aren't swaying. You've got the right idea. Downswing is going to be video number 2, which we'll be releasing very soon if you're watching this right when the number 1 comes out. Hope this helps.